Happy Thursday to you. Welcome to the John McEntyre Money Show Live. I'm John McEntyre. Today is Thursday, the 13th, February the 13th, 2025. We're on Valentine's Day Eve. That's right, the day before. That's Eve, right? Yeah. So we're Valentine's Day Eve, and um, hopefully you haven't busted that budget. Being part of that, what's $27.5 billion that is projected to be spent for Valentine's Day. So hopefully you're doing your part, but you're not overdoing it. You don't have to be an overachiever and everything. So um, let's just make sure we keep all of that in perspective. Let's keep it all in perspective. And speaking of perspective, uh, the Super Bowl was this past weekend, and Kendrick Lamar, he did the halftime show, and everyone, it was the messages and all of the symbolism he brought and the performance and everything. People talking about that, but one of the biggest questions was, where did he get his jeans? Where did he get those jeans? Who made the jeans? All of this good stuff. And I just saw that yesterday, Monday, the day after the particular jeans he was wearing. I hope I'm pronouncing this correct. Celine, looks like Celine, Celine. That's the actual brand. They sold out the very next day. All of them sold out at $1,200 a pop. $1,200. People went out and spent $1,200 for a pair of those bell-bottom jeans. Um, and that's why the brand is apparently it's a luxury brand, because I think that the cheapest their lowest price pair are a pair for women, and they're like $300. So and the pair that he was wearing was $1,200. Um, I didn't see where they look better than the Gap jeans or, Old Navy, those other brands, Levi's, bell bottoms, boot cut jeans, because it's basically, their bell bottoms much larger, but it's a boot cut jean. And I was like, wow. So that's the power of influence. That's emotional spending. um, and the people that did buy them, hopefully it was like a drop in a bucket for them, which we all know that's probably not the case. A lot of people just bought them because their favorite artist was wearing them, their favorite influencer was wearing them, and yes, but there you go, $1,200. There's other things I could do with $1,200 besides buying a pair of jeans. Yeah, that's being serious. You know, I can buy a couple of nice pairs of jeans and do a lot of other good things with it. But hey, to each his own. As long as we're not out there breaking the budget, messing, not contributing to other areas. It's okay. You look good in your jeans, but you don't have insurance. You don't have life insurance. You don't have health insurance, and everything. And you won't be able to sell them for $1,200 if something happens. So there you go. All right. I'm off my soapbox. I'm off my soapbox for today. And today's show, well, before I get started, thank everyone for the wallet wins. You're opening up those savings accounts. You're doing, the checking accounts. You're rolling over 401ks, the IRAs. You're starting to contribute to the 401ks, things like this. You're getting those new jobs, getting raises. You're communicating better about money with your spouse or significant other, and everything's good, and I appreciate them. And if you want to share your wallet wins here, go to the chat box. If you're watching by Facebook or YouTube Live, go to the chat box, put in a hashtag wallet win, share it. I'll make sure and share it here, and we'll celebrate it together, because we want other people to see that everyone's winning with money, because that's basically how you win with money. It's one wallet win at a time. Those small changes equal big results over time and with consistency. If you have a question, if you want to ask a question, put in uppercase Q or capital Q, whichever one you prefer. I see it. I will answer the question for you, and we will get through this together with on that road to financial health and wellness. If you have a comment, share your comments also. If you see something out there that would be important or pertinent to what we're talking about, share it. We'll talk about it. We'll discuss it. All right. So today's show is continuation of the past few days. This week I'm doing the series on love and money. Before I say I do, specifically for those are in premarital status, you've said yes to the proposal, and now it's time to get down to business because, like I said, we 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 say yes, and now we're ready to get to the I do, ready to get to that big wedding, planning that big wedding, and all the pomp and circumstance and all of this good stuff. And those are some beautiful weddings, and they are expensive. Um, and I want them to last. If it was up to me, every marriage would last. If a couple loved each other enough to get married, it is my hope and prayer that you would stay together forever, live happily ever after, through the ups and downs, rich or poor, till death do you part. That's my hope. Uh, but we all know in America it doesn't always happen that way. Well, around the world, it's not just America. Pretty much the average around the world is, divorce rate is 50%. Um, in certain countries, it's a little lower. Other countries is higher. I was surprised to see some countries are even higher. But the average 50%. So, you know, a couple getting married today, they have a 50-50 chance of, um, ending up divorced. I want to end that. I want to do my part in making sure that when you are married, you're well prepared in all areas, especially financial, because we also know that finances is one of the leading causes of divorce. Um, Someone was saying that it should be pronounced that way, and I said it for them. I'm not going to say it anymore. Divorced. Um, that's one of the leading causes, financial issues. And it's not, some people think because it's bankruptcy, this, that, it's really the lack of communication, and two people on not on the same page financially. They may have different values. They may have had different scripts growing up, heard different things in life. And so they want to manage money a certain way, and the other wants to manage it their way, and that causes a rift. Or it could be financial infidelity, hiding money, things like that. um, with some premarital financial counseling, all of that should be reduced if not eliminated, and it shouldn't be the reason for divorce. um, and I want to do my part. So I talked about being prepared, what you could do personally for yourself before you talk to your significant other. Then I had some questions. I shared some questions yesterday that you could ask. And today I'm sharing some questions, but it's in like a different category, which is basically, um, what role will you play in the finances in the home? What role will you play? Um, because, marriage is a partnership. It is a partnership. And you have to ask the question, who's going to handle the various aspects of the finances? And those are some of the questions I want to will one person be in charge, or will you do it together? Those types of things. So first question I would ask is, how important is it for you to manage the finances? um, some people, a lot of people are waiting later and later to get married. You still have that one group, the conservative group that's still following the script. You're married at 18, 19, 20. um, and a lot of those, they're usually divorced by 25. um, but the majority are waiting later and later. They're becoming more established financially. um, I heard a guy, he once said it. He said, not only do I want kids, I want to be able to afford kids before I have them. And I don't see anything wrong with that. I don't see anything wrong with that. Some people say, well, I'd rather have my kids early, and some people say I would rather be more established. And so with that, with people being more established when they're coming into marriages, there's a lot more decisions that have to be made, a lot more agreements. Um, there's a lot of agreements to be made anyway. But when you have established people, they're established in their careers, or they already have money, they already have like big bank accounts, things like that. They're already invested in retirement or whatever. Um, they're going to be bigger questions, more questions, you know, more and bigger questions. And so if someone has waited 10 years to get married and they become established, uh, they may be used to managing their finances, and they may not be comfortable with just turning them over to someone when they get married. They may be comfortable, they may be financially literate now, and they're confident in their decision making processes, and so they may not want to give it up. Okay, well, there's an agreement that has to be made. Okay, that's the only way to get around that. You don't get around it, you just work with it. It has to be a partnership, and then the decision has to be made. Who's going to, it's not a thing of who makes the final decision. It's how do we get to the final decision. That's coming for that group. There's another group out there. Some people, they just don't want to deal with money. They say that they're not good at it, and anyone can get good with money. A little studying, a little diligence, and some time and discipline, you can get good with money. But some people in the beginning, they may not want to, they may not have the confidence or the knowledge to actually make those financial decisions. So they may be willing to give up the decision making processes to the other to the future spouse. Now we want to make sure that the person that is handling the money is know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. And so, and you may have one who's just, they know, you give me money, I'm free spirited, I might go and do something with it, and you may not be happy about that, or I may forget, or something like that. That's what you have to think about. And I sort of touched on that earlier in the week. But you have to really think about those types of things, like who's going to manage it. One person may take the lead at it, and the other person, I always say, okay, the other person, they may take the lead because they like numbers. Some people, they're called the nerds of the family. They may just be they may be an accountant or something like that. They may be an attorney. They may just, that just may be their thing. That doesn't mean that the other person should not be involved at all. Um, we've seen our share of that. The traditional family, the housewife, she's a stay-at-home mom, and she takes care of all of that inside of the home. Then the husband, he's making the money, he's managing it, he's making sure the bills are paid and all of this. They get older, he passes away. Now she's stuck with no financial literacy, and she's basically at the mercy of advisors, or hopefully a good advisor, but they're at the mercy. They don't know what's what, and that's usually a recipe for disaster, because now people that come to them, they see, okay, you're not that literate, you're not financially literate, and it's easy to take advantage of those. Or she may try to do some things that she's heard others do, and it may not pertain to her particular situation, and she make those decisions and causes a financial disaster. And so now, today's, there's no excuse for a person to at least become financially literate. No, you don't have to become an accountant. You don't have to become, the world's greatest stock picker. You don't have to become Warren Buffett or anyone like that. And you don't have to be financially savvy or successful. All you need to know is, if you know the basics, at least learn how to work with an advisor. You don't just give the money away, give the money to them and say, hey, do whatever you want with it and everything. I just don't want to be bothered. That's not the way to do it. That's not the smart way. That's not wise to do it that way. Become financially literate. So in this partnership, if something did happen, you could take the reins and just move forward. It would be okay. So it could be easy to these decisions. They can be easy. They just need discussion. That's all. They need discussion. Number two, who would build and monitor the budget? First decision is if we're going to budget. If we're going to be successful, we have to budget. Who's going to build and monitor the budget? It's usually that person that's financially literate or who's been doing it for longer time, who doesn't mind doing it. Um, you know, it's a big commitment, but someone has to know what's coming in, how much is coming in, and how it's being taken care of, and how it's going out. And somebody just has to do it. Good thing, like I say, opposites attract, and most of the time there is one that's willing to do that. There is one that's willing to do that, and it doesn't mean, and just in case there are two people that are married, they get married, and both of them may say, I'm not, the one may say, I'm not financially literate, the other one say, I'm not good with money either, and all this. Okay, we're going to learn. Okay, you're working with someone, you don't need like these big elaborate spreadsheets or anything. All you need is one sheet. Like it's like the forms that we use. They're very straightforward. They're not overly complicated. I've seen high schoolers complete them. Our daughter has completed one, because that's the way we wanted to keep it simple. Um, it's not it's not lacking. It's just simple. It's just straightforward. It asks all the questions. And so, you don't need these big spreadsheets. You don't need the everyday looking at like you're running some big major corporation and you're in the accounting department just clocking numbers. No, it should be to where, you know, for the average millionaire. I remember reading in The Millionaire Next Door, great book. Average millionaire spends roughly 8.5 hours a month, managing their overall financial picture. 8.5. Whereas the not so good with money, theirs is down like 4 hours. And most of the time it's just paying bills, running around paying bills, doing things like that, moving money around, everything like that. And so your financial future should be worth 8.5 hours a month. That's easy. That's easy to do it. And it's not like sitting down in one day and do an 8 hour chunk. It's just over the month, it tallies up to be around 8.5 hours. Checking the bank accounts, making sure no one has stolen, making sure fraud hasn't happened, checking everything, making sure everything is being paid on time. All of this type of stuff adds up to 8.5 hours. That's the millionaire in America. That's basically how they do it. And they spend around 8.5 hours a month to do it. So you should have 8.5 hours to do that. All right. And plus, let me say also with budgeting, there's some great apps out there. I mean, some excellent apps that once you put the work in up front to do the inputting all of the information, it's pretty much now. I mean, it could, average millionaire probably, in all seriousness, they probably, because of the technology, it's probably been reduced because that book was written, a couple of decades ago, back before all of the apps and everything like that, even software. So now you have apps and you can reduce that time. Once it's put in, both of you can check it. You sit down, you look at it. There you go. Time reduced. Um, Another question, as far as that, who will pay the bills? My opinion is it's usually one person has um, they're in charge of making sure everything paid, unless you're coming from the older generation. There's still the baby boomers, that older generation who didn't have a lot of grow up with a lot of technology, and they spent the majority of their life without technology. um, they were used to, and they still are used to physically going to a store or whatever to make their payment. I like to. I mean, I actually like to see it. Sometimes I'm at a store, and a department store or something like that. a person walks in and she says, they're like, "Can we help you?" In customer service, "Yes, I want to make a payment on my bill." And you can tell the person is like, you can tell the ones that are used to seeing and the ones are like, huh? People still do this because they're just used to being and everything taken care of online. But there still are people out there that does it that way. And I'm thinking back to when I was younger and I was still at home, a teenager. When I started working, the responsibility of since I ate a lot and I talked on the phone a lot, those were my first two responsibilities of helping in the home, which was paying the phone, paying a part of the phone bill and paying a part of groceries. And the grocery part was fine. I didn't mind that part. I didn't mind either of it, but I would, and my job also, I helped pay the phone bill, and I actually physically, it was my job to physically go and pay it. And so I was happy whenever they finally said, "Hey, we're going online," and then they walked me through it. They was like, "Go onto your computer and do this," and I was like, "Whew." So by the time when I moved out and into my own place and everything, it was all online, and so I was good. I was like, but I remember talking to my mom, and she was like, "Hey," I'm like, "Where you going?" "Oh, we just went out to pay bills." It was like one day a month they went and paid all of their bills together. She and my sister and a friend. It was just their day to do it. They would go and and make, they have lunch. They shop. They do everything, pay bills and everything. And that was the older generation. That's just what they do. Well, now most everything is online, and so if both of you are, you pay everything online. Okay, one person, the philosophy I have of bill pay is there's some things I don't mind being on auto pay. There's some things I don't mind it, but there's other things I don't want on auto pay. And so those are what I call push. You actually go in and actually actively go and pay it. The others are pull, where the company auto drafts. It's auto pay. Sometimes it may be one may be responsible for making sure that all of the push happens, making sure that they physically go to the computer or whatever, their phone, whatever, and actually actively make that payment. And the other may just watch, making sure everything is being pulled correctly and whatever. Or it might be the same person. But anyway, but at the end of the day, they've communicated about it. That's the name of the game. This is all about communication. And so that's another decision. Who's going to pay the bills? How they're going to be paid? This, that, and the other. Um, and then the question gets deeper. These are just surface questions. The last one, which is the biggie: who does the taxes? Will the taxes be done home? Is someone willing to sit down and do the taxes? Are they simple enough to be done that way? Or who's going to, like, research an accountant or a tax preparer, an enrolled agent, someone to do the taxes? And who's going to be the main contact, the primary contact of working with the professionals? It's taxes, but in other areas also with working with the professionals. It's not to say that you're not involved. It's just to say one of them has the lead. They've chosen, and they interview, and then whenever it's time to meet, both of you meet with them. I don't believe in doing any types of financial meetings separate, unless it's just maybe, sometimes in marriages where they didn't do much premarital counseling. One wants to do it, the other one doesn't want to do it. Okay, well, let's at least talk to one to get the ball rolling, and then maybe hopefully the other one will get on board later. But when it comes to doing taxes, that's serious. If it's simple enough, who's going to do it? Who's willing to do that work to do the taxes? Make sure they filed on time. Make sure they filed correctly. Make sure you're not overpaying. Things like that. Making sure you're doing what you're supposed to do. And that's usually one of the big ones where one just doesn't want to do it. The other one doesn't mind. The other one's like, no, I do not want to do that. Usually when it comes to taxes, because taxes can be intimidating to a lot of people. And most of them just want to talk to a professional. Okay, let's choose the professional together, making sure we're both comfortable with the professional that we're working with. So that's today what I wanted to talk about was the roles, the actual roles. One person, they may be in charge of everything, but that doesn't mean that once a month or whatever you choose, however you choose to do it, bi-weekly, weekly, whatever. Most of the time in the beginning, with a couple, I say at least once a week, you sit down and talk about finances. If anything happened financially, you talk about it. You sit down and talk about it, especially when kids come in the picture. The kids need to see you talking, having those financial conversations, not financial arguments. They need to see financial meetings. They need to see, and they should be part of the meetings. My mom, she was not a financial whiz, math whiz, anything like that, but she would make sure, hey, sit down. I want you to look at this and watch what I'm doing here, and I'm gonna need you to do this. You're gonna help me do this. It was a non-discussion. It was like, you're gonna do it. Okay, mom, your mom. I will do it. I'll do my part. And so that was just good. So when Andrea, myself, when we talking, we're having a conversation with Bella now. She's making some money for herself. We're involved. They're involved. She's even involved. She's checking her app, making sure everything's right, making sure security is in place. If something doesn't look right, she'll text us and say, "Hey, I saw this happen to my account." And usually Andrea, she will check it, and she's like, "Oh no," and she'll explain it to her, and we'll have a talk about it later together. So, and she loves it. She loves doing that way because we want her to be responsible when she goes out into the world on her own. Because our main goal is to send a responsible citizen in society, send them out into society, and not boomerang back. Not boomerang back, unless it's like a health issue or something like that, but not because you've messed up financially. That's one of our big goals. So, hopefully I gave some good information today, for those that are about to get married, or you may be married already, maybe in a relationship, and now it's time to have those conversations. Hopefully you would do it a good way, that it won't cause any problems, and you just move forward and actually live happily ever after. So, like I said earlier, if you have any questions, comments, share those. Any wallet wins, share those. You may want to talk to someone about your finances. Contact us. Schedule an appointment. We'll schedule 30 minutes. Have in person, over phone, or by Zoom, virtual like this. We can talk however you want to meet. So just give us a call. But before I go, I actually have a comment. Oh, watching. Belinda Bates is watching. Thank you, Belinda, Sister Belinda, a friend of the family. Thank you for your support out there. Definitely. So, yeah, like I was saying, share your comments, your wallet wins, questions, whatever you have, or you may be ready to schedule that meeting, and we will make sure and get you on that road to financial health and wellness. So this is me signing off, and until tomorrow, we'll talk.